Start.
Okay, dear comrades and friends, I am Shankar. I am a member of the Central Committee and the Politburo of CPIML Red Star. Now I am elaborating the Path of Revolution document which is adopted in our 12th Party Congress. Throughout a long discussion and debates, we have adopted the Path of Revolution document, which was actually made long back in the 2011 in Bhubaneswar Congress. It was adopted, but now we have upgraded this document according to our newly upgraded party program. So here we have emphasized some cardinal issues where we have said in our program document also that our revolution previously, since long back, it was thought that our revolution will take either Chinese path or a Russian path. There was a big debate among the communist revolutionary camp that somebody was saying that no, Indian revolution will take the Russian path, and some other comrades were there. According to them, the Indian revolution will take the Chinese path. So this debate was a very important debate and a very much pertinent debate at that time. But now, after having long experiences, we have understood that copying the path of revolution of other countries will not help us to develop our path of revolution, because we know that concrete analysis of the concrete situation is the main essence of Marxism. It is said by many leaders and teachers of Marxism-Leninism. So accordingly, now we began to think that our revolution should not copy the path of revolution of other countries. So here we are trying to develop that, trying to understand that the Indian reality. The Indian reality, according to Indian reality, the Indian path of revolution will emerge. Many fine-tuning will be done. Many fine-tuning will be done. Many particularities will evolve from the struggle. So now, if anyone say that give a total, you totally chalk out the path, it is not possible, because path is developed through the struggle, through the experiments, through the experiences. But we understand that a path will be essentially the Indian path, neither Chinese path nor Russian path. Now, the thing is that what does it mean? According to our document, first thing is that we have pointed out that in Indian perspective, the caste struggle and gender struggle, these two inseparable parts of Indian class struggle. Previously, that is in communist movement, these aspects were not given much importance. There are comrades, even today also, who think that when we are talking about gender struggle, when we are talking about caste struggle, then we are diverting from the class struggle. They are thinking class struggle from a Eurocentric point of view. They are understanding class struggle as it took place in other countries, especially in the West. But when we are seeing the Indian reality, because path will emerge from the reality. When we are seeing the Indian reality, we are seeing that in India, the caste division and the Varna division is playing a very important role to form classes. When in our country, the society was divided among the classes, at that time it took a shape that Brahman, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. In this form, not what is written in the Communist Manifesto, that is a plebeian, patrician, freeman, journeyman, guildmaster, slaves, not like that. Here it took a very particular form. Therefore, we understood that from very beginning, our classes took a form of Varnas. Varna division is actually the class division in the major portion of today's India. So, therefore, it continues. Yes, after almost say 2,500 years or 3,000, after 3,000 years or 2,500 years, it changed. But if you see the fundamentally today also you will see the major wealth of our country goes to the upper caste people, and the so-called backward caste, so-called lower caste people, they are mostly are the working people of our country. Therefore, we have to understand that the class struggle and caste struggle is there. There is no Chinese wall between this. When we understand class struggle, we see that caste struggle is a part and is an inseparable part and an aspect of class struggle. Similarly, when we are talking today, we are talking about combating fascism. If you see the BJP RSS fascism, you will see that the whole basis of their ideology is monoism and Brahmanism. But do you see that the Congress also introduced, and they also maintaining a soft Hindutva. We are saying that soft Hindutva. What does it mean actually? Soft Hindutva, what does it mean? It means that basically, as far as the ideology is concerned, Congress also maintained a Brahmanism and monoism. If you go through the Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, his entire works depends on monoism and Brahmanism. But a soft character, its structure is soft. But fascism, they took it is crudest form. But the basis is the same. In India, the ruling class always depends on Brahmanism and monoism as their ideological, theoretical basis. Why? Because here, the classes formed in the shape of Varna, Brahmins and Kshatriyas, these two Varnas became as a ruler. And at that time, Vaishyas and Sudras were mainly the working people, and they were fighting forces against this combination, Brahmin-Kshatriya combination. They fought. Nowadays, it changed. Nowadays, a portion of the Vaishyas, they joined the ruling class. That is very natural. This is the age of capitalism. So in the age of capitalism, a higher section of the Vaishyas, they gradually joined to the ruling class, and most of the Indian people, they are identified as so-called backward caste. These people are basically working people. Therefore, we have to combine these two forces, these two aspects. Class struggle means actually caste struggle, and obviously class struggle have different other aspect also. But you cannot make a Chinese wall between them. And it comes from this understanding, it comes that in India, when we are talking about monoism actually it happened everywhere. But in India, it took a very particular shape, and monoism put the male as a ruler. It was said by Engels also. It took shape in other countries, in the West, everywhere. But in India, it took a very peculiar shape when Monu, as a code, when he introduced as a code, the Monu said that the women, they will be having no rights and all women are Sudras. That means the gender struggle automatically becomes the part of the class struggle in Indian reality. Today many people say that who is Manu and what is the relevant of Manuism, what is the relevant of Brahmanism. But till today you see that what fascism are doing. Fascist people, they are trying to replace the Indian constitution. Whatever the India, we are fighting against Indian constitution, we know that there are many limitations of Indian constitution. But it doesn't mean that when the fascist forces are breaking the Indian constitution to go further right to the monoist code, then we can sit idle. So this monoism, Brahmanism is today also is a pertinent ideology and a very important ideology and the base of theoretical basis, ideological basis of the fascist forces. So definitely I can give you an information that presently we are in a movement in Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, in front of the High Court, Rajasthan High Court, there is a big statue of Manu. You see, so now they are our party and several other organizations, they are coming in front to oppose it. But this is the Indian reality. So therefore, in Indian reality, the caste struggle and the gender struggle, these two are the inseparable parts of the class struggle. You have to see in combination. You have to see, you cannot have a Chinese wall. So this is the Indian reality. So accordingly, we need to develop the caste annihilation movement as a very, very important task of the communists, which was neglected in previous years. In our past history, in our past, communists took a very glorious role. They fought a lot of things, but at the same time, they have some limitation also. So now we have to rectify it. Criticism and self-criticism are inseparable of our work. So we have to self-critically understand that neglecting this part, fighting the gender struggle and caste struggle part, that was our one of the lacunas, and now we have to rectify it. This is number one. Number two, comrade, today we are passing through such a time when you see globally, there is no visible alternative of the communist, provided by the communists to the people. It doesn't exist. So definitely it has a big impact in all countries, in our country also, where we think that everywhere we have to give people an alternative. And what does it mean? It means that, see, we are taking part in the election. Those who are not taking part in election, that is, they are solving this problem separately. But we CPM register and the forces which are taking part in the election, our propaganda, our campaign, we have to give people a correct direction that how the state can be changed, how the today's state is now owned by particular classes. Now, how it can be the people's state? What are the measures? What are the economic measures? What are the political measures? What are the social measures which can change the state from an oppressive state, from a bourgeois state, from a ruling class state to the people's state? We have to give this solution in every particular questions which arises through different elections. Say I am giving one example as a Panchayat election. In Panchayat election, how we see Panchayat? Now we know that the Panchayati Raj was introduced in India as a part of a global plan of the imperialism. We know. But at the same time, we also know this fact that this Panchayat can be used against the ruling class. Ruling class is using Panchayat against people, and people can use this this Panchayati system against ruling class. And how it is possible? We have to give a particular solution to the people. At that time, this question arises at different level of our campaign and our struggle. Say in our history of the communist revolutionary movement, in somewhere a whole Panchayat, a communist revolutionary forces owned. But what happened? After some time, the winning members of a communist revolutionary force, they joined in the mainstream parties, they joined the bourgeois parties or other parties. Why? Because they did not have any alternative practice and alternative concept of Panchayat in their head. And so now we have to rectify this. in a particular panchayat, in a particular contest, or if we have a panchayat, then we have to practice a different practice so that the panchayat can be the really people's power. So in this way, in the local body election, even in the case of the state government also, we have to give, only negative campaigning cannot win people right now. We have to give a positive solution also, that how we visualize power. We have to give, people want to know, otherwise people will not accept us, because in the whole history of the communist movement, handling power, this question is the experiments are more or less failed. In all erstwhile socialist countries like Russia or China, they ultimately degenerated to the capitalist path. And very importantly, that when these countries and the communist parties were degenerated, there was no active resistance from the people. Why? Because people were confused that this is communism. The communist party mishandled, wrongly handled the state power and the power question, totally confusing thing. So we have to we have to help people to visualize how we communists understand power. So in a small level, in a very say a panchayat level, in a municipality level, wherever we will have some power, we have to exercise this power question such a manner, such a fashion, that people will understand that yes, this is the seed of communism. This is the seed of the socialist state. Actually, socialist state means that is the semi-state, what we say theoretically, proletarian state, or the state of the working class and the peasantry. So how this state looks like, how this state should be, the seeds we have to show the people, we have to help them to visualize. So this is one of the important tasks related to the electoral battle, and at the same time the non-electoral battle also, everywhere in our campaign, in our struggle, in our resistance, everywhere. Now say today there is a struggle is going on in Kerala, that is very important struggle of the people, that is in the Vizhinjam. There is a Adani port. Adani was trying to establish a port over there, and all mainstream parties, including ruling CPIM, they are upholding this project and they are favoring the project. But we people, the real communist revolutionary forces, they are taking side of the people. But at the taking side only is not enough. But at the same time, we in these movements, we have to give a counter planning of development. Alternative paradigm of development, what we are talking about today, that is the alternative paradigm, alternative development paradigm. Now this is a struggle of the development paradigm of the ruling class and the alternative development paradigm of the people. If you can develop this struggle, there is a struggle. First, this struggle will take place in the arena of concept, a concept versus concept. And when this concept will be grabbed by the masses, by the millions of masses, then this concept will be a material force which will replace the ruling classes, and it will help the people to come in the power. So in this way, from here we will come to the third point. The third point of our path of revolution is so that mass movement is very important, because for a long time there is a very one concept is deep rooted in the mind of some revolutionary comrades, that the guerrilla warfare, the warfare with arms, that will change the country, that will bring a revolution. But according to our concept, that the masses and the masses only create the history. So the masses can understand what we are talking about, what is our planning, what is our paradigm, and mass should take this thing. If mass will not take your paradigm, then your paradigm is a failed paradigm. If mass will take your paradigm, then it means that it is effective to the masses. And whatever it is not effective to the masses, that is meaningless to the communists. So mass involvement, mass movement, developing mass movement is very, very important in front of the communist. So we should not take any tactical measure or any path which becomes a hindrance to develop mass movement. That is also a very important understanding before us. It is a long back, since long we are having this understanding. But today, when more and more mass movements are taking place in the country, and especially the paradigm struggle, development paradigm and the alternative development paradigm, these two paradigm struggle is coming in front, then we have to understand the significance of role of the masses more deeply. So we cannot take any particular tactical line or any type of path which becomes a hindrance to which to develop mass movement. So the party should be able to develop mass movement through different organizations. So it is a very important task before us. So fourthly, we should say that India is a very diverse country. Diversity is very important thing in our country. And the history, if you see, the history of a part of the country and will not match with that of the other part of the country. The histories are different, continuations are different, culture are different, language, many things are different. So accordingly, the path of resistance, type of resistance, path of struggle, type of struggle, these are very much two very diverse character in our country. In a part of the country, when we see that people are standing in the water up to neck level for a protest. On the other side, we have seen in Kalinganagar or in Nandigram, people are giving active resistance to the forces, police forces or other forces, to save their land. So different type of resistance are there in our history, in our entire history also. Different type of resistances are there. Some resistance are taking place through open rebellion. Some resistance are taking place, took place in our history through literature. So we have to be able to combine all type of movement: legal movement, illegal movement, electoral movement, non-electoral movement, literature, art, and culture, and active resistance. Sometimes and somewhere is active resistance, sometimes in the cultural level. So different combination. A party should be able to develop or can assimilate its work to all these type of different combination. Otherwise, the party cannot lead. If party only take a particular path, say only the cultural resistance, you will not win. Or on the other hand, if you take only the arms resistance, active resistance or armed resistance, you cannot win. So if you want to win in a vast country like India, you have to combine all sorts of path of revolution, all sorts of resistance and the type of struggle. You have to understand. It is totally related to the active participation of the masses. You cannot bring it from your head. It will come directly. It will evolve from the struggles. When mass participate, at that time, you know that the several opportunities, several new experiments are taking place. You cannot do from your head. So that is why it is very important to develop mass struggle. And the experience of these struggles we have to sum up. Now we had a 1 year long, that is the peasant struggle.
Yeah.
That is a very big struggle, and many people said that in India, that after 1947, after having independence means so-called whatever independence we achieved, after that, this is the biggest movement. Now we have to sum up. Many people actively took part in the movement. And when movement is over, then they went back and they joined in the other movement. Okay, this is okay. But a communist force cannot act like this activist. Communist force not mere activist. They are the social scientists. So now we have to sum up the peasant struggle. That what are the experiences we have achieved? The peasant struggle in front of us that showed that overall, that is people came from different state. Maybe the northern part mainly because the demands match much more with them, and in the other parts of country it doesn't mean that they took a neutral position. They were in support,
Yeah.
but they did not take that much active position like that. But it is not a very easy thing that 5-6 states, people from 5-6 states and the peasantry from 5-6 states, they came and gathered in Delhi, and practically they surrounded Delhi. Practically they surrounded Delhi. So there is it shows that the all India movement, all India mass movement, and all India path, and all India pattern to develop even it can be converted. It can be converted to such a level which can overthrow the ruling class. So this type of development is possible. This type of development is happening, and many more experiences, many more lessons we can get from the peasant struggle. I am not going deeper into it, but I am giving just an example that we have to sum up this struggle before us. Then we can understand that how we communists behave, how we communists develop our path to the revolution. So this is in the main structure of our understanding. And there are definitely there are many particularities, there are many finer aspects of these structures. But I am not going to the many finer aspects. Now I limit myself to the structure only, so that if the structure is it becomes a point of discussion, then through this discussion many finer points will come up.